Now let's look at this example here. So what we have is you have these markers in a box. There's 3 purple, 5 black, 8 pink, and 4 red. You pick one marker without looking, and we're going to look at the first part here, A. What's the probability of picking a black marker from this particular box? And we already have for you identified the number of favorable outcomes. There are 5 black markers. This is what we want. What are the total number of outcomes? Well, we add up all of the markers that are in the box. There's 3 purple, 5 black, 8 pink, 4 red. In total, this represents 20 markers. So our total number of outcomes is 20. What is that as a fraction now? Our probability of getting a black marker would be 5/20. What is it as a ratio? It would just be 5.20. Now, some of you guys may notice that 5/20 as a fraction or as a ratio can be put in lower terms. So if you want, your teacher may require you to put it in lower terms, but they may also accept this. So it might be good to ask them what they will accept. But if you want to put it in lower terms, think of a number or a factor of both 5 and 20. And in this case, it would be 5. So if we divide both the top and the bottom by 5, this actually ends up in lowest terms being 1/4. And this ratio would be 1.4. How do you change that to a percent? 1/4 would be 1/4, which would be 25%. This is probably one area in which students have a little bit more difficulty changing it to a percent. But when all else fails, I always say to my students, if it's a calculator section, you're allowed to use your calculator. And I always say the easiest thing to do if you're using your calculator is 1 divided by 4. But you shouldn't need to do this. But if you did, you would get it as a decimal of 0.25. And then to change that to a percent, you would just need to multiply it by 100 and you would get 25%. So let's look at part B. We're going to do the exact same thing. So I need to scroll up again, sorry. Part B is a purple or a red marker. So we need to go and look at our favorable outcomes. So we need our favorable outcomes, purple or red. How many purple? 3 purple. And how many red? There are 4. So that gives us a value of 7. There's 7 favorable outcomes. The total number of outcomes, well, we've already identified that. It's 20. So we can write our probability now as a fraction. 7/20. We can write it as a ratio. 7.20. And we can write it as a percent. Again, I'm going to use this handy dandy little calculator. And what I'm going to do is 7, divide that by 20, and it'll give me the decimal, which is 0.35. To get that now as a percent, I multiply it by 100, and I would end up with 35%.